Hey, I'm Candace, your host, and if you're ready to grow your business and build your authority by getting booked on podcasts, I've got something special for you. I'm launching a brand new course that will walk you through exactly how to get booked on podcasts. Everything from identifying the right shows to pitching, preparing for interviews, and leveraging your guest appearances for growth. Plus, if you sign up for the waitlist now, you'll get early access to the course and these special bonuses. When you officially enroll in the course, you'll save $50 and get a free one-on-one strategy call with me to help you prep your speaking points and align your offers. These bonuses are limited and end on April 13th, so make sure to sign up today. Head to the link in the show notes to join and get started on your podcast guesting journey. I can't wait to help you get booked and start sharing your message with the world. Now let's dive into today's episode. Welcome back to the show, everyone. I have a special guest, Breanna Mueller. She was born and raised in Winona, Minnesota, headed to South Dakota for college, and there she met her husband and became an agricultural education teacher and FFA advisor. Her husband's first job was super demanding, having him work 70 plus hours a week. And that's when she started her BODi business, where she was helping other women get healthy and create routines. She fell in love with this feeling of helping others feel good and decided to take this into starting a Western boutique, in an online Western boutique in 2021. Along the way, she's dabbled in a few other entrepreneurship things, and she's just trying to figure out where God's calling her to be. And we'll get into the rest of her story in a bit during our episode here. So welcome, Breanna. I'm glad to have you on the show.
Thanks. I'm excited that it finally worked out to connect, because I know we've been trying for a long time, but it's been busy.
I reached out, and Brianna's got a newborn at home, and she's like, yeah, maybe not right now. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Maybe not right now. So how is Natalie?
She is so good. So I cannot believe she is this week going to be 6 months old, which is just wild how fast time flies by. And she's been going to daycare now about a month. And so I just headed back to work, which is funny because it's not the plan I had at all. Once I had a baby, I was, as you talked about, a teacher. And so I thought I'd be headed back to the classroom. And about 2 weeks before school started, I got a call and changed career paths. It's still in the teaching and education realm, but she is doing so good. And it's just crazy how fast they change and how quick they pick up on things. So yeah, it's nice though to get back into a little bit more of a normal routine.
Yes. Breanna and I know each other through our BODi coaching days, and which is network marketing, if you're not familiar, but we help women with their workouts and wellness and nutrition and mindset and all the things. And we both fell in love with that and found ourselves on retreats and trips together. And actually, I don't know if you know this, Breanna, but on one of those trips, you and Angie were doing a podcast and you had each of us say a little something. Yep. And that was my first time being on a podcast. And it was probably a year before we did that I had been just wanting to start my own. And so that really kind of catapulted me into this one. So thanks for that inspo.
You're welcome. And that was fun. Yeah. I used to do a podcast. The episodes are still up, I think, the Live Boldly podcast. And that kind of has been my entire kind of what I live my life by, is live boldly and do things that maybe you would seem out of the ordinary or someone wouldn't think about doing. And so I'm excited that that's kind of what catapulted you here, because I love your podcast and I know a lot of people get great things out of it. So
yes, I know already that you're a leap taker. You mentioned 2 weeks before this school year started, you switched jobs. So first of all, tell me what you're doing now, and then I'm going to ask you a little bit more about taking leaps after that.
My new title, I think it's the longest title on the planet. So I am now the Assistant Agricultural Education Supervisor for the state of North Dakota in the Department of Career and Technical Education. So essentially, I work for the government. I'm paid by the state of North Dakota to help agricultural education teachers and FFA advisors be successful in their classroom. We do teacher visits. And then I also do new teacher visits. So go out this year in North Dakota, we have over 25 new agricultural education teachers. So we visit them twice a year and help them be successful. And then I run all the state programming. So I have a supervisor with me, and we have an open position right now. So we're a team of 4 if you also count our admin assistant, but we do all the state programming for FFA. So if people aren't familiar with that, that is a youth organization that focuses on leadership in agriculture. A lot of people say FFA, that's Future Farmers of America, and ag teachers, like, it makes us cringe because in the 1980s, that was changed because it's not just for future farmers. Like, I was a town kid and had no idea what FFA was but it's really just a youth organization that's focused on leadership. We run all the state events. And so it has always been something I've dreamed about doing. I did an internship in college that was with the South Dakota FFA Association and really enjoyed the behind the scenes and the getting to work directly with teachers, work with the state officer team, and just have a bigger impact on a statewide level. And so about a month before school started, I was in my summer grad school course. I also am getting my master's degree in agricultural education. And I was in my course, and the current state supervisor dropped me this link and was like, I really think you should apply for this. And I was like, well, I don't know. Like, I'm in a contract with my school and stuff like that. And she's like, but you really should look at this. And so I did look at it, decided it wasn't for me. I wasn't going to break my contract. I was happy with what I was doing. And then the day the application was set to close, I just felt like I had to apply, because what if I didn't apply? Like, would I always kick myself wondering what if? So I applied and interviewed that week, and they said they couldn't get back to me till the middle of August or near the end of August because of just their scheduling. 2 weeks before the school year started, so about a week before in-service started, I got a call that they wanted me to accept this role. It took a little bit of consideration, but right away I was so excited. So decided to take the leap. And I think that was the scariest leap I ever took, just because I knew there were a lot of people who were going to be upset with me. But I just had to keep telling myself that doing what was best for me and my family and my career was more important than keeping everyone else happy.
Yeah.
I just kept using, like, giving yourself permission to do what's right for you, even if it upsets others in the process, is what I had to keep in the forefront of my mind. Because you work in education, you understand how that works. And so it was a hard thing, but it was a really important leap I had to take for my family.
Right. Other teachers that are listening are probably holding their chest like, oh my gosh, yeah, we get it. Because the rest of the world is like, what, 2-week notice? Like, you had plenty of time. But in the teaching world, to leave a position, that was a leap. That was a big leap. And I get that. So thanks for sharing that. So tell me, this isn't the first leap you've ever taken, but you said it was the biggest one. How do you prepare yourself for these leaps? You mentioned like the mantra, keeping that mindset. And maybe the better question is, how do you know when it's time to leap?
I was feeling so comfortable in teaching. How I explained it to others is I felt not maxed out in my career, but I felt like I was settling into the comfortability of just like doing what I knew how to do because it was comfortable, just going with the motions, right? Like, I was headed into my 5th year of teaching, which I wasn't the expert. I wasn't the best. I didn't win all the awards. I didn't ever, I was never teacher of the year. I was never any of that, just because, I was still so new in my career. I'd say 5th year teacher, that's still pretty new, but I felt like I was good at what I did. And I just was kind of riding the wave instead of pushing myself, instead of really challenging myself to take those next steps. And so I really, in my head, knew that I needed a change and knew that I needed the next step. And kind of how I explained it to people in teaching, there isn't, unless you're going to go into administration, which I had zero desires to go into administration, there isn't much upward movement in the educational realm unless you're going to go to post-secondary or something like that. I knew that if I wanted to keep pushing myself and I wanted to keep moving my career forward professionally, this was the step I had to take. And as an agricultural educator, you can be there for 35 years, 40 years, and that's great. Like, I am so thankful for those people, but I wanted to challenge myself in a new way. So I knew that meant taking a step in another direction, whether that would have been state staff like I am now, or if that would have been moving into the collegiate level after I finished my master's. I just knew that I needed to push myself in a different direction because I was really settling into comfortability and not pushing myself like I should have been.
Would you say that comfortability piece is something that helped guide you? Maybe it's a compass of the direction you want to take? Because I know what you mean. I had taught for 13 years and I felt like by the last, 7 or 8 years, I could walk in blindfolded and teach that lesson. Yes, you're changing. Yes, you're learning new things, but the math and the content, the standard, those are staying the same. And it's that comfortable piece of, well, am I going to do this every single day? Is that a kind of a compass that you use to make decisions in your life?
I felt, I don't know if stagnant is the right word, but I just kept asking myself, is this what I want to do for the next 40 years? Is this all I want to do, or is there more out there that I want to accomplish? And I saw that, okay, when I had my teaching job, graduating classes of 10 to 15 students, which some of you guys are probably like, oh my goodness. And then I went to a school where the graduating class was 75. So some people on here are going to be like, oh my gosh, you still taught at a small school. But to me, that was big. Having 25 students in a class was just more than I wanted. In my classes, we did things like welding. We did a lot of hands-on. I taught ag mechanics shop, animal science, things that honestly were better suited for about 15 students a class. And so I looked at, okay, I can impact about 100, and I saw every single eighth grader. So I'm like, I can impact about 150 kids. Whereas now I'm working at the state level and I'm getting to run programming for about 8,000 members. So now I'm having a direct hand in impacting about 8,000 students or more, because not every student is an FFA member. So now I can help other teachers be successful and impact about 10,000 students a year. That's where I really saw the change. I needed to do something different because, yeah, like you said, I could walk in blindfolded, or, I got to the point of like, oh, I don't need to plan because I can just do this. But then I just needed something a little bigger than what I was doing. And I saw a bigger vision for myself. And that's how I kind of knew that I needed to change it up.
So it doesn't sound like you were completely looking for this job, at least not right now.
I was not looking. I say that God put this job opportunity in my lap because I literally was like, no, I'm happy. Like I signed my contract with the school district I taught in. I thought that would be like my long-term school district. I was like, I will be in the school district till I decide to leave teaching.
Yeah.
Whether that be a year, 10 years, 40 years from now. Whenever I left teaching, that was probably the school I would have left it from, because I did like where I was. I had a lot of good support there. But again, it was just kind of like, right, someone, is like, hey, you should try this and you should give it a shot. And then I just kept feeling this nudge and couldn't stop thinking about it. And so decided, I eventually said, what the heck, might as well give it a shot. I always have this prayer that if God wants me to do that, he's going to either open the door or close the door. And so I just prayed every single day. If this is the job you want me in, open the door. If I'm supposed to stay in the high school classroom, close the door. It's as simple as that. And so when I was offered the job, I saw it as God wanted me in that position. And so I just had to do whatever it took to make that work.
It's like the saying, it's always a no if you don't ask or you don't try. So just applying or following those nudges, because then you at least gave yourself the chance to see what would happen. I wonder what advice you have for someone that's looking to make a transition. Like you weren't looking for this, but you were doing your master's and you knew you wanted to level up or look for something new at some point. Do you have some advice for someone who is feeling the same and feeling the monotony of their career and their days and wants to make a big transition?
That is like a lot there. So
yeah.
I think my best advice is you just have to keep figuring out what it is you want to do. I think that's hard. My husband too, he doesn't hate his job, but he feels called to do something different, but he doesn't know what that is. So my biggest advice, like we talked about in the intro, is I've dabbled in a lot of different things, which has helped me figure out what do I want to do, because you don't have to do something forever. And I think that's the biggest thing to know. I always think about, I can always walk back into the classroom. If I took this job, didn't like it, I can always find another teaching job. So I wasn't too worried about like, well, what if this doesn't work out? Because teaching is always going to be there. Or I'm sure the career path you're in might always be there. But I think the thing is, if you're feeling that nudge in your heart, you just have to slowly start exploring what your options are and trying to figure out where you're feeling called to go and what aligns with you, what schedule aligns with what you want. I can tell you the biggest blessing about this new job, and a big reason behind it, is I get to work remote now. Any teacher listening to this, or anyone who knows a teacher, knows, for example, this morning I woke up not feeling the best. And I just is the fear of, oh my gosh, what if I don't feel good enough to get through the day? Or like, oh, well, I'm just going to go to work and push through anyways, because I don't want to use my sick days. Or
also writing sub plans is horrible when you're
I know.
sick.
And so So I think of like, I work remote, I have flexibility. For example, my husband, his uncles, they farm and we're coming up on harvest season. So he actually takes time off of his full-time job to go help them farm. And so I will have to be picking up my daughter and dropping her off at daycare. I was looking at our school schedule and I was like, oh, well, parent teacher conferences, like how would have that worked? I would have had to drive half an hour to pick her up from daycare, then come back to school, but I can't have my daughter for parent teacher conferences. And like, so you just start to ask yourself these questions of like, what do I want my life to look like? And what is a job or a role that's going to support me in that? That kind of played a role in it too. When I looked at this job is I want my life to look more flexible. So what is something I'm passionate about that's going to support us financially in that and be happy every day? At the end of the day, I mean, money is money. Yes, you need it, but also your sanity, your patience. My biggest fear was stepping into the classroom after I had my daughter was, what if I come home exhausted and frustrated with other people's children, that I come home and I don't have the space for my own child?
Well, I'll tell you, that happened to me. It's not a good feeling.
So that was a big decision. And I know I'm kind of getting off track here and on a tangent. My biggest advice is you just have to keep dabbling in different things and building your resume. What can you do? What skills can you acquire in whatever role you're in currently to make that next move? Because you always need to be acquiring new skills to take that next leap, no matter what it's going to be.
It could be our generations. Now, I'm older than you, so I know we're in different generations, but I'll just group them together. That what I grew up knowing is that we go to school, we graduate, we go to college, we pick a career when we're 18, and we do that for life and then retire for a few years. And somewhere in my 30s and becoming a mother, I started to think, this is really stupid. Why? Why is this the set thing that I feel that society has taught us we need to do, especially as women? So do you think that your priorities, the need to have a flexible schedule? And I feel that too. I want to be able to, at the drop of a hat, go get my children if they're sick or stay home with them or whatever needs be, and not have to write sub plans and not have to say, well, just a minute, I don't have any sick days left. Because when your own kids get involved in the situation, I think that shifts a lot of things. And I know it shifted a lot of things for me. And so that desire to have that flexibility is huge. I wonder what shifts you felt in your priorities when Natalie came along.
I can 100% agree. Nothing changes your priorities more than becoming a mom, at least for some people, right? I'm a nurturer. I'm an Enneagram 2. And my whole life, what I wanted to do was be a mom. And even before we even had kids, my husband and I were married for almost 5 years before we had children. And the entire time, our whole grand scheme of things, where we lived in South Dakota. So something I forgot to mention too in my bio was that we lived in South Dakota for 3 years, 4 years-ish after college graduation, and then moved to northern Minnesota. We bought our dream acreage, which is the best thing. Living outside of town, having 10 acres, having livestock has always been our dream. So being able to make that happen is great, but that also means that I have to work longer because of it. Where we were at in South Dakota, the plan was I'd teach for 4 years, I'd have babies, I'd stay home, and life would be great. And the second I found out I was pregnant with my daughter, everything changed. The priorities changed. Like you said, the flexibility. I hated knowing that sometimes I would have to, no matter how I felt, prioritize teaching over my daughter, just because that's the nature of the beast. It is what it is. That's just how that career works. And so I knew I wanted something that would give me more flexibility and work with a family schedule. Now, is there times that I have to prioritize my career and make things work with my family? Yes. But I don't feel animosity towards it. And I don't feel mad about it, upset by it, because the things I'm doing, I'm enjoying. So to leave my daughter for 4 days to go to a work event, I don't mind. Whereas I think when I was in the classroom, it bothered me more because I had no choice. Whereas now I get a choice in my schedule. So my priorities really shifted there of wanting a life different. And you mentioned, right, we were programmed, graduate high school, go to college, get a job, and be in that career. And I don't know what the stat is, but it's proven that millennials and Gen Z, is that the one after millennials.
Yeah, I'm a millennial. So
yeah, like Gen Z, we're only staying in jobs, changing jobs like every 4 to 5
yeah,
years, opposed to millennials, baby boomer, like our older generations would stay in a career for 40 years. Like they'd
right,
have one job.
right.
And so I think it just shows that people are also wanting different things out of careers now. I look back to my parents' generation, people were just happy to have a good paying job with good benefits. And then that was like the end. They would go to a
Right.
job they hated to be able to provide for their family, provide stability, because growing up, maybe they didn't have that stability. Whereas now our generations are wanting more out of life than just
Right.
to like go to a job, spend a few hours with their kids every day, and go do it all over again for the next 40
Yeah.
years.
Had all three of my kids super quick in 3 years. And by the time baby was here, it was a good 3 years where I just started to feel this tug of, I didn't ever hate going to teaching. And it was never the students. I enjoyed them when I was there. I couldn't not pour into them when I was there. But I had this feeling of, and you touched on it, am I literally going to do this routine like every day until I die, like, or until I retire? This is all. And I had this nagging feeling that I was made to do something else or to do something more. It took a while. It took 3 years for me to actually act on it and just take that leap of faith, which is what I'm trying to live now, right? Because it's not always easy to take those leaps. Let's switch gears a bit. And on the side here, you've also been doing this wellness coaching business and you have this boutique. And you mentioned that you love how both things leave women feeling their best. So tell me more about what you do with those, why you started them, how did they come about? Are you an entrepreneur looking to start or grow your business while feeling supported and seen every step of the way? Join the Aligned Business Collective, the monthly membership I co-host with Andrea Hansen and Brittany Williams, designed for entrepreneurs like you. This is your space to connect, learn, and build a business that truly works for you, while we hold you accountable with our weekly calls and on-demand coaching. Head to the link in the show notes to learn more and join today.
Yeah, so I started my BODi business way back, it's really not that far back, 2019. And the main reason was my husband, we were just married. We moved to central South Dakota. We lived in a town of 400 people where I knew no one. It was 6.5 hours from my hometown. He was working almost nonstop with no predictability. So like he could text me and be like, hey, I'm going to be home at 5 tonight. And then at 4:30, something could happen at work and he was there till midnight.
Wow.
There was no consistency and predictability. I was so involved in college. You can probably relate to this since you played sports. Like you had such a full schedule.
Oh yeah.
That you come out into the adult world and you get off of work at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock or whatever and go home and you're like, what do I do till I go to bed?
Yeah.
Like, what do adults do? So I did what I thought adults do is like, I sat and I watched Netflix and I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
So did that. And I just was really unfulfilled. I was falling, it was December. So I was definitely falling deeper and deeper into a seasonal depression. And I battled mental health growing up. And so I knew the signs. I spent a lot of time in therapy. A lot of times, I even spent some time in treatment facilities. So I knew coping skills. And I knew that if I didn't make a change, this was going to be really bad. Yeah. So I decided to start working out. And then 7 days in felt so good that I was like, I just need to help others do this. And it'll be a time filler. It'll give me something to distract myself from being home by myself all night long every day. That's how my BODi business came about. And I really just started to see some fun results from it and some fun success. So kept going with that and liked it. And it kind of sparked my interest in other entrepreneur stuff. So started an online boutique in November of 2021. Started that just because I really loved shopping and really loved helping people. Like I dressed differently, like not super different, but like I just like pairing fun things and fun outfits and stuff that people usually wouldn't wear, but people wanted to wear. Like now there's such a huge trend in Western fashion, but a lot of people don't feel confident in it. Like, oh, I could never wear that or whatever. So then started that out of my home, literally no debt, no anything. Like it started with taking pre-orders and then I would use that money I made to then buy more inventory. And I still do that now. Like I've never taken out a loan for one of my businesses. anything because I like to work with cash. Like my husband and I actually don't even own a credit card, which you can say what you want. Some people are like, but you can get rewards with credit cards. Yeah, I don't know. So that's how we've built our businesses. And it's just led me to try different things. And some things I've kept with and some things I haven't, because you figure out, does it align with you or does it not? And then you focus on what you enjoy.
Mention finances. I know that if anyone follows you on social media, that you are working on paying off a car and you guys are very serious about your debt-free life. Tell me some tips. What do you like best, or what works best for you guys to tackle those goals?
Yeah. And we say you have to do, again, like my theme of this is you've got to do what works for you. So some people are diehard Dave Ramsey fans, don't do anything to enjoy life till your debt's paid off, right? No vacations, no extras.
Yeah.
We live our life. Like, what's the point? Because then you're not living if you're not doing fun things. So my biggest tip is schedule auto pays on your stuff and extra payments. So like we have payments that come out, extra payments towards debt that are just auto debit, so we don't even think about it, and it just becomes a monthly thing. Like it isn't like, oh, this money that I'm using to put towards debt I could be using for other things. We look at that at the future. Like we look at, so we paid off my husband's pickup this year, which we put about 13-14 grand towards, and then we've paid almost 12 grand on my car this year, and that's all just because we take any extra we have and we put it towards that. And so we use auto debits. We use anytime that I get to a certain threshold in my business bank account, we take and we put it towards debt. We're just serious because we looked at our car payments, and you know what? Like Dave Ramsey would call us stupid because we took out, it was COVID, we took out 2 vehicle loans, which we needed, but we probably got away with cheaper vehicles. And so a big goal of ours has been able to get that paid off, because that'll free up about $900 of our monthly budget.
Yeah.
We took the money we were paying on the pickup. Once we paid it off, we put it towards my car. And we looked at, like with daycare, sending a kid to daycare is not cheap. So we wanted to get them paid off by the time our daughter started daycare, which we live on an acreage. You have a lot of things go wrong or things break. We just have had a lot of unplanned financial burdens this summer that kicked back our goal time, but we still are focused on it. So set up auto debits and make visuals. If you go to my social media, you'll see I post these trackers and they hang on my fridge, and it keeps us really, really aware of where we're at. And I look at it multiple times a day and I'm like, oh, $1,500 left. Like I just think of like, okay, what can I do? Like what can we do? I'm like, what can I do to make this happen? And I'm not saying like cut out your coffee, cut out the thing. Like I just got a package today of like little girl clothes I bought. I'm not saying like cut out, because at the end of the day, like what is that $10 really going to do? So still live your life, but keep it in the forefront and know we're working towards freedom. So I just had this big goal of debt free by 30. I am 26. My husband will be 28 here in November. Debt free by 30. And we want to be mortgage free by 40. Super crazy goals, but we just know, like if we get stuff paid off, that's going to mean we can literally do whatever we want.
And it'll just feel more secure too.
Yep. And taking those leaps, right? Like if we have our debt paid off, then do we need my job? Can I explore entrepreneurial stuff more? Not have to rely on a consistent income coming in.
That was actually a big thing with my leap of leaving the classroom going on 2 years now, was that the only payment we had was our house. Everything else was paid off. We didn't have anything else standing in that way. So it made it more possible. Now, if there were other loans and car payments, then it would have been no. And it would have been definitely something that would have stopped me. So
our big vision is, like I said, daycare's expensive. And when we got pregnant, we knew if we get to 2 kids, it's not really going to pay for me to work and have 2 kids in daycare. With the situation I was in, because I was driving 30 minutes. So like you add all that together. But I would like to, the more kids we have, stay home. And so getting rid of that debt and working really hard now is going to pay off so much more. And so you have to look at the long-term goal. I think people get so tunnel vision of the now. I want to go on vacation now. I want a nice car now. But what about 5 years from now? Like, what do you want your grand scheme of life to look like? You have to have that long-term vision to not necessarily suffer through now, but to live differently now so that you can have what you really desire later is so important.
Let's go with this last question that I like to ask everybody. What message would you like the listeners to take away today if they don't remember anything else we said, but they remember this?
If you are feeling a nudge to do something different, you have to remember that what is best for you and your family is more important than what anyone else thinks or wants for you or from you. I was so scared to put in my resignation at school because I was so worried about how everyone else felt that I was willing almost to put how I felt to the side and what was best for my family to the side to keep everyone else happy and to not rock the boat. And so you have to do what's best for you and your family at the end of the day, regardless of how that makes others feel. Because if they don't understand that, then that's not the space you need to be in anyways.
Yes to all of that. Thank you so much. Tell us where we can find you. Where can we find the boutique and everything else if we want to follow along and check it out?
Best way to connect with me is Instagram. It is Breanna.Mueller is my Instagram. And then my boutique is Turquoise Tornado Boutique, but you can find that through my regular Instagram too, because that name is super long. And so that's the best place to connect with me. I'd love to hear from you, or if you have questions about something else that came up on here, or I get a lot of questions about my charts that I use for our debt payoff. Feel free to message me about those. I'm really an open book. And so I love getting to connect with other people and really help them navigate their season as well.
Yes, thank you so much. So I will link that in the show notes. And to the listeners, have a better brave day. Thanks for tuning in. If you're ready for podcast mentoring, whether it's setup, editing, planning, or guesting, you can book a one-on-one call with me through the link in the show notes. I hope you feel seen, inspired, and like your dreams and goals are completely valid, because they are. See you next Tuesday.